I want to begin with something that may feel uncomfortable at first, but I still want you to stay with this conversation carefully. Most people spend their entire lives believing that hard work alone guarantees success. From childhood, we are taught that effort is the answer to everything. Study harder, work longer, sacrifice more. And because we hear those ideas repeatedly, we eventually stop questioning them. We accept them as absolute truth. But reality is more complicated than most people are willing to admit. Hard work absolutely matters. Discipline matters. Consistency matters. But hard work without direction can slowly destroy a person. Not immediately, not dramatically. It happens quietly, year after year. Effort continues, but meaningful progress never fully appears. And eventually, people become emotionally exhausted. They begin questioning themselves. They wonder why life feels unfair, despite how much they sacrifice. That confusion is extremely common. Many hardworking people secretly feel it, but very few speak honestly about it. Because society praises exhaustion. People admire busyness. People celebrate overworking as if suffering itself proves value. But being exhausted does not automatically mean you are building something meaningful. Sometimes exhaustion simply means energy is being spent inefficiently. And that difference changes entire lives.
But this conversation is not attacking effort. It is expanding the equation. Effort alone is incomplete.
The complete equation includes direction, leverage, positioning, timing, relationships, awareness, and sustainability. All these elements work together. Ignoring them creates imbalance.
Think about an engine without steering. Power exists, but direction is missing.
That vehicle may move quickly, but speed without guidance creates danger instead of progress. Life works exactly the same way.
So ask yourself honestly, where is your current effort leading? What future are you actually building?
Are your daily habits connected to that future? Or are they simply keeping you busy? Those questions matter deeply.
Because years disappear quickly. People assume they have unlimited time, but time moves faster than most expect.
That is why intentional living matters. Not perfect living, intentional living.
Choose carefully where your energy goes. Protect your attention. Protect your mental clarity.
Build skills that compound. Build systems that create leverage. Build relationships that create opportunities.
And most importantly, make sure the direction you are moving toward truly matters to you. Do not spend years climbing the wrong mountain. That mistake happens more often than people realize.
Some people achieve goals only to discover those goals never truly fulfilled them. That realization can feel empty. External success without internal meaning eventually feels hollow.
So clarity matters emotionally too. Not just financially, not just professionally.
A meaningful life requires alignment. Your effort, values, goals, and direction should support each other. Otherwise, internal conflict appears.
And internal conflict creates exhaustion. People feel constantly tired because they are moving against themselves emotionally. That kind of exhaustion cannot be solved by rest alone.
It requires honesty. It requires reflection. And sometimes it requires courage to change direction.
But change becomes easier once people stop glorifying unnecessary suffering. Struggle alone does not guarantee wisdom. Intentional growth matters more.
Hard work remains important. Nobody builds meaningful results without discipline, but discipline must be guided intelligently.
The goal is not permanent exhaustion. The goal is meaningful progress. There is a difference. And that difference determines whether effort creates freedom or frustration. Every person eventually chooses one path or the other, often without realizing it.
So slow down enough to think clearly. Evaluate your direction honestly. And ask yourself whether your effort is creating the future you actually want.
Because the strongest engine in the world is useless without steering. And the most hard-working person in the world can still become trapped without strategy. Direction changes everything.
Build carefully. Think deeply. Move intentionally.
And remember this clearly. Hard work is powerful, but strategic direction determines whether that power creates transformation or exhaustion.
So ask yourself honestly, where is your current effort leading? What future are you actually building?
Are your daily habits connected to that future? Or are they simply keeping you busy? Those questions matter deeply.
Imagine two people using equal effort. One spends years repeating tasks that create no long-term growth. The other spends years building systems, skills, and relationships that continue creating opportunities.
Both people work hard, but their futures become completely different. Not because one person cared more,
but because one person understood strategy. That is the missing conversation. Most people are taught effort, but not direction.
And direction matters because life is limited. Time is limited. Energy is limited.
Which means every hour matters. Every decision matters. Every repeated habit slowly shapes the future.
Some people wake up 10 years later realizing they worked constantly, yet built very little freedom. That realization can feel devastating, especially when they genuinely believed they were doing everything correctly.
And the painful part is this. Many of those people are not lazy. They are incredibly hardworking.
They simply never learned how leverage works. They never learned how positioning works. They never learned how modern systems actually reward value.
Years ago, effort and income were connected more directly. Factories rewarded physical labor. More hours often produced more measurable output.
But modern economies function differently. Technology changed everything. Ideas now scale faster than physical effort.
One piece of software can serve millions. One online platform can reach global audiences. One smart system can continue operating while its creator sleeps.
That is why leverage matters so much today. Leverage means creating a larger result from the same amount of effort. It means multiplying impact.
And leverage exists everywhere. Technology creates leverage. Communication creates leverage.
Skills create leverage. Reputation creates leverage. Relationships create leverage.
The problem is that many people remain trapped in purely linear effort. They trade hours directly for results. So when they stop working, everything stops immediately.
That creates constant pressure, constant anxiety, constant exhaustion.
And eventually, people start believing life is only struggle. They stop imagining alternatives because survival consumes all their attention.
That is a dangerous place mentally and emotionally.
Because exhausted people rarely think strategically. They only focus on getting through the next day. And that cycle can continue for years.
That is why reflection matters. Stopping matters. Thinking matters.
Many people are afraid of slowing down because they fear losing momentum. But sometimes slowing down is exactly what allows someone to finally choose the correct direction. Speed without clarity creates chaos.
Imagine driving at maximum speed without knowing where the road leads. The faster you move, the more dangerous the situation becomes. Life works the same way.
And this applies to careers, business, education, and even relationships. People often invest huge amounts of energy into situations that cannot truly reward them long term, but they continue anyway because change feels uncertain.
Human beings naturally fear uncertainty. Even painful familiarity can feel safer than unknown possibilities. That fear keeps many people trapped.
But growth almost always requires discomfort. Every major transformation begins with difficult honesty. You have to admit when something is no longer working.
And that honesty is emotionally challenging. Nobody wants to believe they spent years moving in the wrong direction. But denial wastes even more time.
That is why strategic thinking matters more than endless effort. Strategic thinking asks, where is this road leading?
Will this effort still matter 5 years from now? Am I building something sustainable? Those questions change how people live.
Because not all work creates equal value. Some effort disappears instantly. Other effort compounds for years.
Compounding effort changes lives. A skill learned today may create opportunities for decades. A meaningful relationship built today may open unexpected doors years later.
Reputation compounds too. Trust compounds. Communication skills compound.
But many people never focus on compounding activities. They remain trapped in urgent tasks. Everything feels important, yet nothing truly changes.
That is the busyness trap. People confuse movement with progress. They feel productive because they are constantly occupied.
But constant activity can become a distraction from real growth. A person may answer emails all day and still move nowhere meaningful. Motion alone does not guarantee progress.
Sometimes the most productive thing someone can do is stop completely and evaluate reality honestly. That pause can prevent years of wasted energy. Reflection creates clarity.
Another dangerous trap is perfectionism. Hardworking people often believe everything must be flawless before they act. But perfectionism frequently becomes another form of fear.
People delay launching projects. They delay sharing ideas. They delay opportunities because they believe they are not ready yet.
Meanwhile, imperfect people take action. They learn faster because reality teaches them directly. Progress creates feedback.
And feedback creates improvement. Waiting forever rarely creates excellence. It usually creates delay and frustration.
Perfectionism also creates emotional exhaustion. People spend enormous energy polishing details most people never notice. That energy could have been invested more strategically.
Then there is the loyalty trap. Many people believe loyalty automatically guarantees rewards. Sometimes it does.
But many systems reward visibility, leverage, and measurable results more than sacrifice alone. That reality surprises hardworking people, especially people who quietly dedicate years of effort.
A person can stay loyal to an environment that never truly intended to reward them properly. And realizing that later can feel deeply painful. Years may already be gone.
This is why awareness matters so much. Awareness protects energy. Awareness protects time.
The people who build meaningful lives usually evaluate reality constantly. They observe trends. They study systems.
They ask difficult questions instead of blindly following assumptions. And that willingness to think independently changes outcomes dramatically. Most people never pause long enough to question inherited beliefs.
They simply repeat what society taught them. Work harder. Stay busy.
Never stop. Never question. Never slow down.
But constant motion without reflection creates burnout. And burnout destroys creativity, focus, patience, and motivation. Eventually, the mind and body demand recovery.
Some people proudly say they never rest, but exhaustion is not always a badge of honor. Sometimes it is evidence of poor direction.
Sustainable effort matters far more than temporary overwork, because success that destroys your health and relationships eventually stops feeling like success. Balance matters.
And balance does not mean laziness. It means protecting long-term effectiveness. It means understanding that human energy is limited.
The strongest performers usually understand recovery deeply. Athletes understand recovery. Elite thinkers understand recovery.
Even machines require maintenance, yet many people expect themselves to function endlessly without rest. That expectation is unrealistic.
Another important topic is positioning. Two equally talented people can experience completely different opportunities based on visibility alone. Where you place yourself matters.
Who sees your work matters. Who remembers your name matters. Who trusts your abilities matters.
Many opportunities come through relationships, not applications. Trust creates access. Familiarity creates opportunities.
That is why isolation can quietly limit growth. Some hardworking people focus only on tasks while ignoring communication and relationships entirely. Then they wonder why opportunities never appear.
Relationships are not manipulation. Genuine connection matters. Helping people matters.
Listening matters. Consistency matters. Trust matters.
And over time, relationships create opportunities effort alone often cannot create. That is simply how human systems operate. Ignoring that reality creates unnecessary struggle.
Timing matters too. Some industries expand rapidly, while others decline slowly. Some skills become more valuable every year. People who pay attention to change position themselves early. That is not pure luck. It is awareness combined with preparation. Working hard in a declining direction can still produce disappointing results. That is why awareness matters just as much as discipline. Effort must align with reality. Now, let us talk about smart work. Smart work is not avoiding effort. Smart work means directing effort intentionally. Strategic people evaluate their actions regularly. They ask, is this producing meaningful results? Is this still the right path? What would happen if I continued this exact routine for 5 more years? Those questions create clarity. Smart work also creates compounding value. Every hour invested ideally builds future opportunities. Skills, systems, and relationships continue producing returns later. Communication skills are a perfect example. Strong communication improves careers, leadership, networking, influence simultaneously. One skill affects many areas of life. Financial education works similarly. Understanding money changes decisions permanently.
The benefits continue for decades. Strategic people focus on these high-impact areas. They understand that some investments create exponential returns. Others create almost nothing.
That awareness changes how energy is spent. Instead of chasing constant urgency, they focus on meaningful leverage. That creates long-term freedom.
Another characteristic of smart work is visibility. Excellent work hidden in silence often remains unrewarded. People must understand your value.
That does not mean arrogance. It means learning how to communicate contributions clearly. Visibility matters in professional environments.
Strategic people also collaborate intelligently. They use technology. They use systems.
They delegate when possible. They automate repetitive tasks. They focus energy where their unique value matters most.
This multiplies effectiveness. Instead of constantly feeling overwhelmed, they create structure. Structure protects energy.
And emotional stability matters more than many people realize. An anxious, exhausted mind makes poor decisions. Clarity requires mental space.
That is why constant stress becomes dangerous. People under permanent pressure often lose perspective. They stop thinking long term.
Everything becomes reactive. Everything feels urgent. And strategic thinking disappears completely.
This conversation becomes emotional because many people connect hard work directly to identity. Questioning effort feels like questioning character. That emotional attachment is powerful.